So we're gonna switch up the flow today. I'm starting to kind of dig into a project that I've thought about for a while, and one of my recent acquisitions for the Mercedes got me thinking about it again. I was cleaning the garage up this morning and I was thinking about it again. And typically, when I have something that's kind of pestering me like that mentally, I'm like, you know what? Let's investigate. Let's see what we can produce. So, all of my cars have car phones in them, which is super cool. It's completely useless. That's the first thing that everybody asks me is, does it work? And the answer is always no, because we don't have analog cell service here in the States anymore. They do in Europe, but even then it's like GSM2 or some shit or whatever it is. It's not good. So, I want to answer that question. Does your car phone work? I want to say yes. I want it to be kind of a twist. So, as opposed to going back and fishing through old manuals and wiring harnesses, or not harnesses, but, well, yeah, harnesses, diagrams, tracing back between each thing, does this module even, does it power the thing up, etc., etc. I'm going to take a different approach, a more modern approach that is very in line with like my general philosophy of how I do things to begin with. So, I got on Facebook and I started looking for smartwatches. I started looking for square smartwatches because you can do a lot with smartwatches. Apparently, you can develop your own launcher for them. You can make calls on them. You can read your text with them. You can. I mean, there's a couple uses that these smartwatches have, and I think they're getting more and more popular. I actually don't even own a smartwatch. I usually rock stuff like that. But the screen is about the same size as the one on my car phone. On multiple of my car phones, actually. So the one that is here in my 750 is the same one that's in my 34. And then my other one is my Mercedes phone that I just got. It is a little bit smaller, and I think that this watch is going to be better suited for it. So if you look at that, that's about the size of a smartwatch screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a cheap one first. There's no reason to ball out on brand new Galaxy S whatever the hell watch. I want to see proof of concept first, that I can even relatively execute this. Because my first idea was to take a Bluetooth, like the old days be wearing. Take the Bluetooth joint that's in the ear and just take out the microphone and relocate the buttons and stuff like that. And, so that way it could look like I was talking on the phone. But I figured, why not take it a step further? And like I said, with 750. There we go. Why not take this, and while the buttons and shit won't work, it would be kind of cool to hold it and just whatever. You got a text, like you can read the text on the car phone. I mean, I think it's a great way to bring the 90s tech into today. A great little mixture of the two. So that way you pull up next to me in traffic, and I want to do it on the Mercedes phone particularly, because if you pull up next to me in traffic, you'll see that I'm talking on my car phone and just be like, what the hell? Versus this car, which you can't see inside of. So for the sake of usability, I'm going to try it with the Mercedes phone and see what I can make happen. So stay tuned. Alright, so this is what I picked up. I don't know. I think one of the biggest issues already is that it's not I don't know if it'll tilt or not. I mean, I would like it to tilt, but all this stuff works. It's nothing crazy. The screen's pretty responsive. It's got a camera. It's not very good. I can't even see what. I think it's because of that scratch on it, but whatever. Let's insert a memory card, so I'm definitely going to use one of those. This should be usable, so I'm going to crack it all apart and see what I can make happen with it. It's got Bluetooth. The biggest thing is that the screens are about the same size, and yeah. So it's still got a screen protector on it, and if you need it, okay. But yeah, it's a little button. I don't know if it's going to be a part of the board that's in it, or if it's like remotely wired, so I can just extend the wires. We've got a hole right there for our microphone, so I'm going to make sure that that's placed somewhere convenient. So it's got a speaker right there, and that's the charge port right there. So yeah, it wants a SIM card. I don't know how to. I should just pop off the back of it. See if. Oh, okay, yeah. Just do that. And the other thing I'm going to try to do is move the charge port and run it through here, so that way when it's plugged in, it's always charging, and actually run it through the phone cord, which is easy enough, because what I'm going to do is use a regular 12 volt joint. So it's already got the corded line, and it just runs into it. So if you run this up, it's an old one, but if you run this up through the body of the phone, that'll be, hopefully I can get it in there and manipulate that. But then yeah, by the time, you just see this cord's fucked. By the time you do that, it'll have the cord coming out like it's supposed to, but this will just be a charger instead of all the other stuff that it's supposed to be, or whatever. Worst case, I mean, this thing was just 25 bucks. I'm a big proponent of I'll spend a little cheese on something to just experiment, because this stuff makes me smarter. I consider it being an investment in knowledge, because even if this one doesn't work, I'll get to know more about these things and be able to figure out how to actually engineer one that will work for what I want to do, or so on. Because it's just an idea, but I wanted to invest in the idea so that I can make the idea real. That if I like that, this is a feasible thing, then I can get an actual, like I said before, an expensive smartwatch, a Galaxy joint, whatever, and retool it. Like I said, this is more for proof of concept, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to get it apart and take the phone apart and see what we can put together. Alright, so we got our phone here, we got our watch here. Take the back off, and it's just 4 Phillips screws or so. Pop it all out. So I'm going to take this battery out, and then I'm going to see if there's any other screws and just get it apart. So any other hidden screws, and that's how you get that apart. Let's keep our screws. So let's look at what we're dealing with. This looks like a speaker, and that magnet says it's a speaker. Got our charge, oh, that's our camera right there, and our charge ports over there, which I may be able to get a double male, or a really short, not a double male, but a really short cord, and cut the head of it off and get that in there and make it do this 90-degree turn that I want it to do. I don't know what this is, a sensor of some sort, I reckon. Pull this back, got our speaker loose. It's a ribbon cable that goes into the screen, and I guess the screen will pop out this way. Yeah. So you get our screen out like that, and that's our display, rather. And then there must be something, because there's a ribbon cable connected to the outside of it as well. I think that's one sheet, and that's glued on to our outside here. So, and there went our button. So this is our power switch button right here. It clicks. Yeah, I gotta figure out how to get this screen off without breaking it. I'm gonna have to work that out. I don't know if it can unplug. Okay, it can unplug. So that we can get this board off without, or before we mess with the screen. How do you do this stuff? Shout out to the people that do this on a regular basis with these small devices, because difficulty 100 being so small. This should back out like that. Okay, so now that's separate. Wow, that's small. There we go. Now, I guess I'm going to plug it back in. There we go. Now we got some movement. That works. Okay. I really wish I had a way to hold this thing on so I could pull the screen off and see what it does, but it works outside of the casing, which is obviously good. Alright, we're plugged in. Pop that off the base. I'm taking these apart before, so pop off this clear part, it just bends. It'll pop out. It bends, part of my bends. And it's just a little Torx bit, but you can usually get it with a flathead that's relatively small. So you do that, and that releases the whole joint. So if you've never seen the inside of a car phone, this is what it looks like. Speaker, microphone right there. And if we look at some similarities between these two setups, we see that our speaker is just connected by 2 wires, which is good, and our microphone is connected by 2 wires, which is good, which means that they're extendable. So this little guy is going to be replaced, or it's going to be replacing this one, or I might even use that one. It might be better, I don't know. This one's probably better because it's newer technology, obviously, but Chinese, so I don't know. Japanese phone, Chinese speaker, we'll see. This is going to replace this one, or just wire into it, though I don't think that this will actually power that large speaker, so I'll probably just put this in there, see what we can do. And yeah, so that's that aspect of it. And then the other part that has to be done is, this is soldered. Okay, my other phone's at the plug, but so what you do is there's little retainer clips that hold this on its edges, and do that. So then it should be, yep, just like that. We've got our casing, which is now completely exposed like this, and this is all relatively useless. We don't need any of that. So the idea, again, these are all going to stay because they have to, so I'm probably going to tape this just to hold it still. But again, our idea here is to take all of this and put it into here. So that means taking this. Alright, so that fits perfectly in there. That's great. So what we need to do next is we'll get this just kind of set off to the side and set this off to the side. I'm gonna get some tape real quick, and I'm gonna tape everything down. And then I'm gonna tape the battery, and then we're gonna see how it looks inside this case. Oh shit. Check it out. This is kind of, oh shit, this is cool. Gotta work on getting the screen close enough or something. But let's see, like close enough to the surface here that it can still detect me touching it, because obviously it's not gonna be too good if I gotta push it this hard all the time. And the other thing that I might do as well, design-wise, is just cut out this shape right here, and actually even use this bezel underneath it, and then go like around where the screen is and just make that same texture right there. Just paint it. I don't think it makes a big difference, but the biggest parts of this are right here and right here. So this will sit actually pretty nicely once you get this out of the way, whatever that is. If y'all know what this is, let me know. Bam. Bam. Make sure that works spatially, but yeah, that should work just fine actually, looking at the depth of it. And then extend these wires on this guy down to the bottom. But conceptually, this is cool. All right, so what I've done next, you can kind of see, is scribed the back side. I'll put that over that. So I scribed out the rough shape on the inner part of this bezel, and that's gonna give me an idea of what to cut out. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and do the removal of the plastic part, just because it's very hard to touch it and make the screen work trying to touch through that. So I'm gonna cut this out and set the actual glass in on that part, and then paint this shiny part, you know, make it textured like the rest of the phone is. What I've also discovered, after looking a little bit closer at this board, the speaker is going to be pretty easy to take off. It's just 2 solder points on there, so just unsolder that. And then our switch is one of the biggest concerns. Like I said, I want to use the 2 button, or even, you know, hit the send button or the power button more specifically. So the other part that I wanted to, it's one of my biggest concerns with this, is I want to take this power switch and actually use my power switch for it. So, or the other option is to use this board. You see that this has 2 contacts. You know, it's just those get connected via, I guess, capacitive, well, not capacitive touch. Something pushes those together and makes the button function. So if we can wire, you know, one, you know, stick one end of the wire right there in that hole, and then stick another one into this hole right here, we might be able to just utilize this as our button instead of using this completely. I see what happened. I broke the contacts on that, and those are the 2 primary ones for the switch. So. Alright, so while it's shorting, it does come on with the switch, I think, because I end up just wiring this straight to the board instead of going through the other ribbon cable. Bluetooth does work. I got it connected to my phone. There we go. That's in the Bluetooth. And I can open that. I mean, this thing is archaic in terms of like UI, but again, this is more about, there it is. This is more about the concept. I have multiple other phones to do this too. So yeah, this outside ring is not going to be shiny, it's going to be textured like the rest of the casing. And yeah, that's a great use of a smartwatch right there. Turn your car phone into something that actually fucking works. Check it out. Check it out. So I'm going to replace that with a squirrely cord. But so I need to finish the outside. But wiring wise, I need to adjust the screen still. It's not quite capacitive as it should be. There's some stuff kind of loose and sideways in there. But it is damn cool. Of a concept, I think, just because, like, look at that. Plug that in, and as soon as, I'm going to wire this to the ignition and not the, just always on. So as soon as, the car's turned on, this will come on. And the button I'm still having trouble with. Conceptually, I get it. There's 4 slots on the circuit board on the back. But I'm still having a little bit of trouble. But I think I'll be able to move it down to here so I can do this. So now we got a low battery. So we got to keep it plugged in. The battery, I resoldered that, and that's actually sitting down here now. But, yeah, you can just fucking plug it in and charge my phone. Alright, so I decided to take this a step a little bit further, just for more authenticity. Let me get this set up right. Yeah. See, I decided to go for the corded look here, and because I realized when I was soldering, that's a huge mess. When I was soldering the charger on the side of that, it's literally just 2 wires. It's not like data or anything like that. Like the 5-pin that you would think that a USB is. It's literally just positive, negative. So this guy is already set up to be a step down from a 12 volt to a 3 volt, or 3.3 roughly thereabout. And it broke. This went to the phone that I'm holding, actually. It's USB-C. And so the end of it got weak and blah, 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 blah. And then finally just quit. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take this apart. And what do I find out? But it is also just 2 wires. So I'm going to cut back. No, probably leave it exactly as it is. Cut this off, strip the ends, and then run that up to about there as we move our setup over there. Can't wait to fix that switch. It's like one of the biggest hang-ups is that damn switch. But this should actually be just about perfect for the length of the body of the phone. So I mean, if that's going to go about there, then we can, I guess stretch this out a little bit or whatever. But when it comes out of the phone, it'll be a perfect coil, just like it was originally. And then run this. You can take this out too. I mean, take this apart, and this inside of these is very simple. So yeah, it's just positive and negative right there. That's all it is. And it's just another circuit board too. It's tiny. So yeah, put this to an ignition source. And yeah, or I mean, if I wanted to totally switch up the game, I could make this cordless, because with these watches, what some people do is they have these ports on the back, and what I could do is just put those ports up there on the front side of this, stick it in the base so that when you put the phone down, it's charging all the time. But the cord makes it look, how it's supposed to, I think, anyway. So yeah, this is gonna run down into my console, and I'm gonna run a wire up to the 12 volt ignition source, probably the one that's from the radio or whatever else might be going from that. And yeah, just use the corded joint because it looks, like I said, more original, more period correct, I think. The idea of this phone is to have it look as, in place as possible. I mean, I know that the SLs had the phone that you dialed up front, and then the head or the handset was inside the console, I'm going to kind of switch the game up a little bit. So this way, hey, we retain our space that's up front. I don't have to put a fake phone in that, or, you know, the phone that doesn't work in that. And then we can also have the coolness of having the actual, you know, handheld set out on display and then being able to use it and dial through it and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, right now I'm kind of at not so much a standstill. Like I said, I'm going to get this squirrely, spirally cord put on, you know, soldered in and all that fun stuff, and make sure that that works. I'm going to test out the factory phone speaker. The one that's on the watch is okay. I mean, it works for putting it to your ear and things like that, but I want to test out. I don't know if this board has enough, you know, if it's a power thing, it has enough power to really make the other speaker any louder, so we'll see. And then yeah, just run the microphone down, 'cause that's super easy. But that said, anybody that watches this, if you know anything about like micro soldering or something like that, and you can, or building watches or whatever, if you can let me know like how that switch works, because I really do think it's just a 2-pole, and I'm probably overcomplicating it if I haven't like reversed the polarity, but it's not even that, because it's connect or not connect. So let me know how I can fix that, because that's the one thing that's keeping me from really taking this project and, you know, getting it done. Everything else went together within a matter of a couple hours. So yeah, my Benz has a car phone now. So I guess with the next video, if I get the button figured out, it'll be in the car and it'll be cool. If you enjoyed this, because I do shit like this all the time, I've just been trying to make the decision to record it. The reason I had all of these extra switches and gizmos and gadgets laying around is I do this stuff all the time. So if you like this, like the video, subscribe, all that stuff, that'll tell me that I'm gonna keep making more of these. And yeah, like I said, if you know about that button, let me know.